Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I presented a couple of courses at the Texas Dental Association meeting in San Antonio, and I did touch upon settings a little bit, but in the last 2 weeks, I've gotten a couple of direct messages and some emails asking me to go over those settings because I didn't spend a lot of time on it. And unfortunately, when you're just given an hour, you don't get a lot of opportunity to go too far down the rabbit hole. But I will revisit that now. So if I bring up my T-scan, I've got a couple of scans that I've already selected for us to go over. Okay, so how you get into those settings in that menu is if you go up into the Edit tab, click on that, and you'll get a drop-down menu that says User Settings. So you want to click on that, and it'll give you another menu. And you want to slide all the way over to the right for Advanced. If you click on that, you'll see the top three are the main ones that I'm talking about. Okay, so you want to turn on Turbo Scan starting speed, use Triggered Scan Start, turn that off, and then turn on Show All Excursions in Quadrant View. So I'll go over Triggered Scan Start and Excursions using these two as my example, and then the Turbo Scanning Speed I'm just going to tell you about, okay? Because you really won't see the difference in the movie as it's being played per se, but if you can imagine shooting a video in like 16 frames per second, which is what a lot of the old-time video recorders would shoot at, you get pretty good movement, but you're missing data that you would otherwise see if you were shooting like in 4K and you're shooting at 60 frames per second. You get a lot more fluidity because there's more video data there to see. Does that make sense? So turn this on. You're going to get more frames per second in your recordings. That's the bottom line. Okay, so let's look at Triggered Scan Start that we don't want to use and Show All Excursives in Quadrant View. So this recording was done a little while ago on me. Looks like it was done last year, and I had Triggered Scan Start turned on. So I'm already at the absolute first frame in this recorded movie, and I've already got I'm already recording that 8 and it looks like maybe 26 are touching. Yeah, 8 and 26 are touching. So I've truncated my data a little bit as far as what's going on at the beginning of the recording. Whereas if you're recording like this, the sensor, well, let me go back. Here, the sensor is ready to record, but it's not going to start actually recording data until the sensor knows that compression between the teeth is occurring. So unlike here, where we're recording and nothing's really going on with the sensor until my teeth come together, right? And then all of a sudden, we've got all this information that's being displayed. Okay, so that's the difference between a Triggered Scan Start recording versus turning it off. Okay, so this is what you want. You want to uncheck that. And then the last setting is the turning on Quadrant View when you're looking at excursive movements. So that's where we are on this scan. This is a left lateral, but I've got the wrong left lateral highlighted or selected. You should have left lateral with a space in between it, and I'll go over that just in a minute. But if you don't have Quadrant View, this is what you see. You'll see as I go to the left, the center of force icon is going in that direction because I'm sliding my mandible that direction. And so you just have a differentiation between green and red, which are these numbers here are being displayed down in the graph. But if I come up here and I change, to left lateral with a space in between it, automatically it goes into quad view. That's what we selected. And so since we're going to the left, I want to move this bar up to the distal area, the most distal area of contact that the canine has, all right, or just behind the anterior guidance. And then that also changes the line colors down here to break it into these 4 quadrants that we see. So we have red, blue, green, and gold. We have the same 4 colors down here. And our C and D lines are in the wrong place. I'm going to move that here because that's when the excursion really takes place, even though we start to lose some of the pressure back here. And then I'm going to move my D line to where it gets to 100% of disclusion, which is right there. All right? So that's just correcting the C and D lines. So what you see is as I'm moving to the left side, we have contact in the green and the gold areas. We have a little bit in the blue and a little bit more in the red. If I slide back here, you'll see that there's a blue contact that is a non-working interference, which is right here, and that's not there anymore. And then I have working side group function or posterior contacts as I'm sliding. So this is a nice thing about viewing in quadrant view when you're going into excursive movements. If you don't select that in your options menu, you can go down to view and click on arch and quadrants, but you have to do that for every scan that you're looking at. Okay, so if you just go under the edit and user settings, advanced, and click that, whenever you select left or right lateral view, it's going to put this in automatic quad view, and then all you have to do is just move this little line up and down depending on, if I'm going to the left, I would put it right here. If I'm going to the right, I've got distal contact on 6. I'd move it down to about right there, and you'll notice that all of these change again because what is anterior and what is posterior is being changed, and it's recalculated down here in the time force graph. Okay, so I hope that answers some questions for you guys. Thank you for tuning in and listening for a couple of minutes. I hope I answered some questions. And next time, I think I'm going to share. I did a bite paper mark challenge at the TDA, and there was about 120, 130 participants that were there. And in the room, and then we had some that were virtual, but everybody got to vote, and you'll get to see how dentists did versus T-scan on seeing the total bite force and the high bite force, and how we go about removing high spots in crowns, in bridges, in splints, when you're adjusting occlusion, veneers, all of these things. And some of you are going to be shocked. So thank you for tuning in. See you next time.